So taking a step back, if we have to really consider why isn't the Chinese marketplace taking a European trademark for enforcement purposes? Now, one thing you need to ask yourself first, is this a local Chinese marketplace that only ships into China? Or is this a global Chinese marketplace like Alibaba.com that does ship globally across the world? Now, why are those two pieces very different? Number one, if it's a local Chinese marketplace, you have to use a Chinese trademark for enforcement purposes. They will not accept any other trademark from any jurisdiction because it's not registered in the localized country. Now, if this is a global marketplace like Alibaba.com and they're not accepting your trademark from EU, there's a combination of different things that could be happening. One is someone can own a registered trademark in China, which is exact same as yours, or there could be other stipulations of you have to prove additionally why a listing can be potentially deemed as an infringement. Sometimes just saying this is my trademark is not enough because we go into the area of fair use as well. Um, that's from holistically if we take 1,000 foot view into it and take a look.
Another note on the Chinese trademark as well, if you do obtain a Chinese trademark, it's always important to have the original copy and to provide a color scan copy as well, showing that red stamp from the Chinese government. That's an important aspect that a lot of marketplaces look for as well. And as we know, China is notorious for being a first to file country. So as you are standing up your brand internationally, as your brand presence is growing in China, or as counterfeiters are becoming aware of your brand, it's important early on to file in China. We at Mark Vision 2, we have a product called Mark Folio where we do China registrations for our customers, and you can actually just fill out a free eligibility check as well. And that's always super helpful because it lets you know if there's actually any trademark squatters currently in China that are squatting on your trademark.
That's a fair point, and I think most people don't know this about China, right? It's first to file, right? It's not first to use. So when I do talk to brand owners, especially when the brand is just kicking off, they're like, "Listen, I have all my localized trademarks in the U.S. and I have some in EU." But when I ask them, do they have a Chinese trademark, they might say no. And I always tell them when you're filing, these initial trademarks are also priority in these jurisdictions for those exact reasons you mentioned, Alexis. This way, you don't have to face into any issues. In addition, there's also a lot of mistypos, and people try to still register trademarks, and you have to deal with cancellations and oppositions as well. So while you use Markfolio to register your trademarks, you can also use that to actually watch your trademarks to see if it's being registered in other places as well.
A challenge that we like to try to avoid by filing in China early is when on marketplaces you actually will sometimes receive a counter notification from trademark squatters that even if we're using your international marks to enforce on the listing, we'll receive a counter notification from the squatters that actually have the China mark as well. So filing early in China we think is super important for this reason.
And this should be fairly easy once you've got your domestic trademark. You can use the Madrid system, I think, to pretty quickly get it registered in China.
That is correct. Depending upon what your strategy is and obviously what your budget is as well, that could be all taken in consideration.